All right, guys, welcome back. Episode 22 of Harrison Talks Pod. I hope you're having a great day today. I just finished watching the Timberwolves Pacers game where the Pacers defeated the Timberwolves on their home floor 132 to 130. Obi Toppin hit four threes in the overtime, 7 for 10 overall, 12 of the 15 points for the Pacers in overtime. Uh, had some Pacers foul out, missing the game, and this team looks very feisty. So that was very exciting. But that's actually not what I'm here to talk about today. I am here to talk to you about some NBA basketball. And then my friend Nolan, best friend from back home, comes on to talk about everything St. Louis, since it was a March 14th, 314 day back home, or Pi Day for the rest of the world. Anyways, I hope you guys are doing well. Like, subscribe, and today I want to talk about some other things going on in the league, some things that I might not like, and some things that are a little bit annoying around the league as well. It's been quite interesting. So, what should we call this segment? NBA load management, chaos. We're going to talk about Thunder, Pistons, Sixers, Mavericks. Let's talk about the Thunder first. So, the Thunder is one of two teams, or is there more? One of two teams that is getting investigated by the league right now for violating or possibly violating the player participation policy. On March 7th, the Thunder rested all five of their starters and a key reserve. So they rested SGA, Jalen Williams, J Dub, Lou Dort, Chet Holmgren, Cason Wallace, Isaiah Hardenstein against the Trailblazers. So that I believe is still ongoing. That um, is one star player, which goes against player participation policy. National TV game. Was it a national TV game? I guess so. All right. Um, and injured players must still be visible at the game. So I guess for this one, SJ was sitting, and it's unclear of why they were resting six players in this game. Yeah, that requires league attention. We think about the Jazz, who were fined $100,000 earlier this season. So we wonder if the Thunder could take a similar hit. $100,000 for resting players and we're gonna get into why I think this is all interesting, and while it is a good attempt to have players play those games and those important games, why it doesn't completely make sense. Let's talk about the other one then. The other player participation one then is the 76ers with Tyrese Maxey and Paul George. We now know that Paul George is going to be out for the season. Hopefully, he's able to recover. And yeah, so many injuries in that player's career. The NBA is investigating the Sixers for Maxey and Paul George missing games, and amid their lottery protection incentives, trying to get into the lottery now that they know they're not going to be in the playoffs competing. And wow, it was amazing tonight that the Sixers were in an overtime game with the Rockets and not even trying to win games. Anyways, I'm going off track here. For context, the Sixers 2025 pick is a top six protected, meaning if they below six, they don't get their pick. So it's very reasonable that we could think that they are tanking or soft tanking. We'll see what comes out of all of this now that we know that Paul George will be missing time for the rest of the season. Not sure about Tyrese Maxey, though. Chan says Philly's situation looks more legit than others, though. George's injuries are long term, so that will probably play a part in this whole investigation. And let's just kind of pause there and talk about, how it gets investigated because I believe that, of course, we need rules and NBA needs to enforce rules. And it's great that these rules are focused on consumers, of course. We want players to play games so that the product is better for the consumers. But my issue is that um, if we can't set rules or guidelines, um, or if we can't set those guidelines the right way and enforce them the right way, is it good for the league to have? And I know that the league is a business and businesses are not families, but allow me just for instance to talk about just families and if you set rules for families, if you're a parent and you could tell your kid to not do this, not do that when they go off to college, don't do this and don't do that, and then they're going to do it anyways. And it might be better to just tell them to make smart decisions or make safe decisions. uh I don't know if that was good. I don't know if I'm putting this all together in the right way, but what I'm really trying to say is that um, the league seems to have rules that are good intentions, but it's very hard to enforce those rules when it comes to load management, when it comes to player tampering, when these players play all-star games together and they travel together to the Olympics and they just know each other. Coaches are the some of these players, just on and on. So when it comes to player rest, I think there's so many gray areas to where it doesn't really make sense. And when it starts to not make sense, it definitely does not make sense for the consumer. So if it takes more than a little bit to explain what that whole structure is, as far as when can players rest, or when players are injured, or when players are no longer injured, and what happens if players are rested when they're not supposed to be rested. It just seems like there's so many gray areas that I the league could figure out a way, um, at least horizontally aligned, team by team, to know what lets a player rest and what does not. Can a veteran player that is on a second half of a back to back rest because they are a year 20 player? It just it's a lot of things that are always going to be case by case. So I've been hesitant to approach this topic because usually I'd want to have this, solution-based paradigm where I have a clear idea of how we fix enforcing these rules so that it is better for players and consumers. But I really don't. I'm kind of looking at it and saying whatever the league is doing is not working. Uh, Even though it makes sense, it is not working. And well, everyone likes to say it. If you try the same thing over and over again, it's insanity. But we'll see what happens there. It seems like there has been updates even the past few hours about Paul George, so we'll see if that uh, changes anything else along the way. So next, I want to talk about the Pistons. Pistons won real big tonight. What was that? 127-81 over the Pelicans. Wow. I did not see any of that game. But anyways, on Saturday, I was watching the Thunder game against them. The Thunder won 113-107, and Cade Cunningham was ejected late into the third quarter. And double technicals, of course, got the ejection, and JB Bickerstaff was very mad leading into the press conference after the game, of course. Not sure if it was. I think he should have got a technical, of course, but double technicals sometimes are very tricky, and in this case, it is. And I think it fits into this whole theme. Of course, we are the league is investigating teams for resting players in these big matchups and resting star players, but at the same time, we had this big matchup, the Thunder, best team in the West, Pistons, a team in the East that's winning a lot, still sixth place in the East right now. Star player gets ejected, changes the whole course of the game, and that's it. There's no ever it seems like there's no ever real follow-up, and I'm not saying, like, go get the ref in trouble, go get him fired or anything like that. No, not at all. I think it's a chance to look at the overall issue that we have because we know it's an issue. We want Cade Cunningham in those games. So my question is, why has it never changed? I mean, okay, we need to have ejections in like every sport, right? If if players are fighting, there was that really funny one with Steven Adams the other night. But anyways, you know, of course, there's always going to be extreme cases where officials will say you can no longer be here. You cannot even be on this floor right now. That's not what we're talking about. So why can it not be double technicals, not extreme cases, are technical free throws? And we could, I don't know, double technicals, like you get two free throws because I'm not happy with how many ejections that we get. And okay, if we want to keep the technical rule where if you get 16 in a season, you are suspended. I don't have much opinion on that. The ones I have opinions on are these that are, I don't know what Cade Cunningham said to the official, and I understand it might be belligerent, but it has to have less effect, less impact on a game like that, on any game, but especially on games like this. And the other one I would bring up is the fouling out. Why can't we change that? Why can't we change six fouls after your sixth foul or more, uh, players shoot double technicals. So if you have a team that has a player with five fouls, you have to think about, do you want to keep this player in? Because if he gets more than six, the other team gets a double technical free throw with the ball. So I don't know. That's just my initial thoughts on that. But never really liked fouling out either. Feels like it takes away from plenty of late game situations where it could be different. Because imagine if you were in a late game situation with a star player and they had those fouls, and if you get another one, then it can be a 4 or 5 point swing easily. So, um, that's just always been an idea of that. Watching the game was really not happy with it, but hey, Thunder are 24-1 against teams in the East. So it's like them or Cavaliers that have to be the favorites right now because they split the series with the Cavaliers. Is that right? So I would think that if they can beat any team in the East from what we've seen, yeah, they have to be up there. We'll talk about that more later. We've talked a lot of Cavs and Thunder on this show, and we'll be talking about them a lot come playoff time. So the other one is Dallas. Sad Dallas. So this one, I don't think we should be too worried about. Of course, if you're a Mavericks fan, MFFL, you're probably not watching games. You might be thinking if we forfeit games, who cares? But I don't think the league is going to allow it to happen. It seems like there's a lot of ways to perhaps work around it, and hopefully the injuries don't line up so that it has to happen. But all I want to say is, why hasn't the league stepped in already and said this is not going to be an issue? I'm sure they've already been losing ticket sales with this whole fiasco going on. this we really don't need this extra part that's going to stick out as the first team in NBA history to forfeit games, right? Right, first team? I think so. So, um, it's just NBA, don't let it happen, and, you should have stepped in by now and said, "It's not going to happen because we made an exception on 10-day contracts or converting 10-day or two-way contracts that don't affect your tax or don't affect your second apron." I don't know. I know it's a sad situation over there. I know fans might be saying, "Forfeit games, I'm not watching, who cares? They deserve it." But just for the sake of the league, and I hope other teams that are up against them would wanna play and not have them be forfeited games too. It's just all really bad, you know. Kyrie Irving out, ACL, Anthony Davis apparently going to the G League. That'll be interesting to watch. So hopefully he's back this season. Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford, PJ Washington, Dante Exum, Mike, Max Prosper, Jaden Harvey, all have been out recently. Kessler Edwards, Brandon Williams have limitations on their 10-day contracts, which will be up soon. And then they cannot convert any 10-day contracts until April 10th. The other part I would just add is that this is way too complicated. Just make things more simple, NBA. I mean, I have lots of ideas of how to make things more simple and more practical because it's really hard to explain to just any kind of fan, even if you're a locked in fan, why this whole situation would happen for the first time. So it's really, really not good. Hopefully, it doesn't happen. 33, 36 in the West, 10th place. Probably getting out of the play-in. Hopefully. I have teams in the play-in that want to be there, I think. All right, so I think that's really it. I think there's lots of other good NBA that we'll talk about even from this Monday evening. We'll be back to talk about that more. But for now, we're going to transition over, talk about some STL things. Stick around. And we are back. Harrison Talks Pod. We are recording this out of order. It is a Tuesday morning, very early in sunny Thailand, and a Monday evening back in America. This is a long time coming. I've never done a St. Louis focused episode in the 22 episodes that I've done. And of course, I'm from St. Louis. Don't talk too much about it because this is a basketball podcast. And joining me today, finally, is my friend and best friend from back home, Nolan. Nolan, how you doing today?
Oh, doing all right. Just wish my basketball fortunes were a little better right now, but that's for another time.
Nolan is a Dallas Mavericks fan and a St. Louis sports fan. So we're going to keep things positive today. We're going to talk about St. Louis in context of everything. So when we talk St. Louis sports today, we're not talking just about this year. We're talking about how it is just in general. So if you're listening for audio only, this will all be fine. If you're on video, you can see our tier list right now. Simple, straightforward, standard tier list. And this is everything STL. Now, some of the icons might not be too clear on what they are, but again, I'm gonna explain everything as we go. There is no order. And we did nothing in pre-production about how we rank things. So you can go on if you like it, if it's important. You can rank it however you want to rank it, I guess. So, uh, let's go one for now. You, if you can't see it, just call it another, the different one. But I'm gonna start. I'm not gonna go with a big one yet. I'm gonna go right over here, and I'm gonna say City Museum. That feels like something that's kinda in the middle. Okay, so City Museum, my memories of it are, uh, high school field trips, jump run up the half pipe, running doing that, getting stuck in all these claustrophobic spaces, and, in college, going there, having fun, some things that I won't mention on this podcast. I would say, um, okay, it's not S tier. It might be A tier. I'm gonna go B tier. So what do you think? Is it
I would agree with B tier because it for some reason missed my radar growing up. I think I went one time with my parents in 6th grade, but I wasn't with friends or anything, and I guess whenever you had gone in high school, I don't think I really made it with you guys as a group those times. So it's always cool to look at. So you gotta, I think B's fair. It's really fun to drive by all the art and the history of the person who designed everything. So yeah, I think B's good, especially for my personal experience.
it's more of a place where people tell me it's important. Like
Mm,
it's definitely a place where, people from, like, out of town go, or and people from out of town say, like, "Do I need to go to this place?" And I'm like, "I guess so." STL is not that big, and it is fun, and, like, there is a lot of fun things to do there. You can take children there, you can take older children there. So I'm going with B tier. Okay, so you can see some of the icons I know. How about you pick one?
let's see. Just because I think it's funny, and it set the internet into a frenzy back in what do you think it was 2018? Yeah, you already know. The bread slice bagels from, I guess, whether you want to call it St. Louis Bread Company or even out here now, it's they're kind of transitioning more into the Panera. You see certain Paneras popping up now, but it has gone downhill a little bit, which is unfortunate. But just I think just because of the virality of the whole sliced bagel and how it made New Yorkers upset. Um, that being said, I don't know. I would almost go B or C, somewhere in between there, because I don't think it's like super, super St. Louis, but it's almost just become a meme at this point.
Alright, let's go C tier. We only have City Museum to compare it to, so if City Museum is B tier, this is somehow
Yeah.
C tier. I never thought about it because, like, sometimes, like, I eat a bagel and I'll just, like, break it. I'll just, like, break it and just eat it, or I'll break it. That was like a bread sliced bagel, you can dip it in the cream cheese, and I never thought it was controversial until it was pointed out. I didn't realize
Yeah.
how.
Yeah. Neither did I. I always got a bread slice too. Every other place I get a bagel, I would eat it normal, but the bread slices kind of made it easy for like on the go, or if you're in a hurry, you can kind of snack on it, roll the bag up, and you don't have to get the whole bagel cream cheesed. You can do little pieces at a time. So convenience wise, S tier, but overall importance, yeah, I agree. C. I mean, you could even make an argument for D if you want, but I
Yeah.
think C is okay.
Oh, and none of these are final. We can move
Mhm.
things as we need to. If we find that, like, one thing is, if this is this tier, then we gotta move something down. But never really thought, people would, care so much about, um, how people cut their food. Speaking about caring, let's do another fun one. This one is called, "Where did you go to high school?" Now, okay, so I know, if you're from a small, yeah, if it's like Midwest town, or I even heard people, like, from, like, places like Jersey have, like, said this before. I understand if you're from, like, a small city, you might ask people, "Where did you go to high school?" But
Mm.
it doesn't mean that it's not a St. Louis thing. It's a St. Louis thing even if it is in other places as well. But that's what you do. "Where did you go to high school?" "Oh, you went there? Oh, my second cousin played in a college band with na na na." "Oh, you know na na na? I know." So, I'm going
Yeah,
with
I
this
think
is
especially Louis being kind of a smaller city, it feels like you could almost bring up the high school thing, and somehow you're going to find a connection with a lot of people. And so, but it's just one of those Midwestern things, kind of like talking about the weather because there's nothing else to talk about. I think C is a good spot.
yeah, we're putting that in the C tier. We'll put both the kind of the goofy ones in the C tier. It's important. It's our culture. Again, yes, like, when you don't have that much to talk about, yeah, we talk about weather a lot as well. Did I put that on this list? Oh, yes, I did. That's the Fox 2 one. Let's just do that
Yep.
right now.
I was wondering about that one. I was like, "Do somebody?" I was like, "Dude, do you love Fox too?"
Well, I will say this, um, I've been in Thailand since 2017 or in Asia since 2017, and every once in a while, I will, for whatever reason, see, like, a local news broadcast and, like, the nostalgia I get because, like, that's what would be on the TV as a kid for me growing up, or, like, if you travel, like, out of town somewhere and you see the local news and you think about how you've never seen it, but that's something that's so normal to people that live there, like, "Oh, it's that person." I'm pretty sure Timmy Zell still works for Fox 2, and I
Yeah, he does.
met him when I was a 3rd grader at my elementary school, and he's still doing the same things that he was
Mhm.
doing, 30 years ago. So, anyways, this isn't a Fox 2 segment. I kinda I kinda
Speaking of
derailed
weather,
us. St.
speaking
Louis.
of weather, I think old Dave Murray's kicking it still on there. I haven't really checked it on the news in a while either. I usually,
Yeah.
there's social medias to get stories or go to the website, but
Yeah, Dave Murray, and then there's that one woman on there that's been on there forever. Anyway, St. Louis weather, um, I'm for importance, I mean, we could put it D tier, but for importance, I'm gonna put it right in the C tier. Um, it's so weird that, like, sometimes, again, nostalgia, I feel nostalgic for, like, gray St. Louis days. Like, for some reason, it has this, like, very calming effect on me. Like, sometimes, like, when it's quiet, and it's not too hot, not too cold, but the sky looks horrible. So, what do you think? St. Louis weather, pretty bad, right?
you never know what it's going to be like. It was just 1 degree here 2 weeks ago. Now I've been in shorts for a week and a half. So it's especially during this time of year, it's always something to talk about. Good for small talk. I know I do with clients and stuff. So
I know that, that's something that, like, Cat Williams always puts in his sets. He always puts in, like, something about the weather, because 'cause he'll make jokes about, like, I was in Detroit, it was sunny, sleety, snowy, because, like, that works with a lot of different, cities, especially, like, Midwest cities. Alright, I'll keep picking because it's kind of hard to see. Um, where let's not do a big one yet. Where would you put, uh, Gus's pretzels? You a pretzel guy?
I love one of my favorite things in the world is like a soft pretzel. That being said, every time I've seen Gus's pretzels, they're not really warm. I mean, they're just kind of sitting in a bag. I think they're great, but I don't. I mean, I would personally just at least start in that busy C tier because I've never personally gone to Gus's pretzels. I've only got them off like from people on the street or from like functions or events like fundraising stuff. But it's for me, it's nothing super nostalgic. I know for others, it might be like maybe people a little older who grew up with it, but yeah, I think it's a C for me.
Let's put it C for now. I might move it up. Been there before. Like, Saks Quest is right down the road from it, and it's in that area with all those antique stores. I can't even remember which area this is now, but
Like 155.
yeah, like like, yeah, I've been there quite a few times. It's been forever. I think there's better options in St. Louis. Also, if you want like a soft pretzel. Yeah,
Oh
you
yeah,
you you do get them at, like, schools and things, and they're just kinda whatever.
room temperature. Never had one hot. I've
Yeah.
had plenty of soft pretzels hot from other places, but I don't know. At the end of the day, a pretzel can only be so much. It's kind of a pretzel's a pretzel.
Let's do one that's, pretty it's still pretty topical, it was just a couple weeks ago. I'm gonna say this one is Soulard. This is Mardi Gras, but, you know, we can put those together. When we talk Mardi Gras in St. Louis, we talk Soulard. So Soulard, I think, has to be an A tier or an S tier. This one's gonna be tough. Okay. Super important, very cultural. Um, love it. So many memories of it. I'm gonna do S tier for now. Would
Yeah,
you say S or A?
I reluctantly went. a couple weeks ago. I last several years I've been trying to kind of retire it, getting to that age, but relatively went still had a decent time. But I spend a lot of time working in Soulard too every day. So when I went this time, I was able to see a lot of people I know through business. I spent a good amount of my work week down there in Soulard. So I've grown fonder and fonder, also living closer to it the last 5 years to that neighborhood. So I really enjoy the neighborhood. You got to know where to go. Some places are just full of college kids. Other places are people more like 30s, 40s. So, but it's a great neighborhood, lots of history. And you can always find something else to do just a block away from where you're at. And of course, Mardi Gras, iconic, right behind New Orleans.
Yep. 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 Still as relevant as it was when we were kids, maybe more. I mean, there's definitely more things to do than when we were younger. So I think so. Um, and yeah, like just Mardi Gras, like Soulard, I have so many memories, but just Mardi Gras, just that, like I mean, I have good memories, like great memories, tough memories, like just getting through the snow, like 2009 was like horrible. I remember. The last time I went on Mardi Gras, Boogiefoot played there, so I got to play there a couple of years. Got to see some bad things happen there on Mardi Gras. Like I saw a woman break her arm last time I was there because she was actually putting on the event for the music event, and she put her arm through a gate, and the gate opened. And if you break your arm in Soulard during Mardi Gras, it sucks because you can't get like an ambulance or like anything through there. It's gonna take a
Yeah.
while to like get to a hospital.
The weather, I've gone some years where I was miserable because it was so cold, and then there's been a handful of years where it's like, wow, this couldn't be more perfect. Like,
Yep,
so you never. It's in that exact time of year where you just don't know if it's going to be warm or cold. It's a
yep,
complete crapshoot.
yeah. It's been great some years.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can make anyone mad. So we talked about a very relevant part of St. Louis. Let's talk about Washington Avenue. So Washington Avenue was like I think pretty fun when like my sister was like young, like when she was like in her 20s. By the time that I was old enough to enjoy it and I started like I would play shows there like few times a year. It was it was always not good. Like it was just
Mhm.
like it was never worth it. Like playing shows there was worth it, but I would never like goes there. It's super historic. Like I showed like a real historic photo for this. I'm sure at one point it was S tier,
Yeah.
and I'm sure like it's has importance for like different businesses, but I would put it like just in a C tier just to see if I can make anyone mad.
Yeah. I mean, I have some fond memories for sure. I had a friend who lived down there, a real good, cool spot, but I mean, we weren't last super long. I mean, business after business has shut down there. There's a bar that's been shut down for probably close to 10 years, and it still has the bar's name on the front. It's like they don't even care about, trying to fit. Nobody wants to buy real estate there. It's had a couple good years though when I first turned 21 at certain spots like the Dubliner, a couple other places. But
Yeah.
I agree. I think Ballpark Village kind of had a lot to do with certain that and Laclede's Landing kind of, I don't know, just and obviously crime to an extent, but that's everywhere.
Yeah.
But
Actually,
yeah,
I didn't put either of those on this list. We'll circle back to that. Yeah, Dubliner was the place I would usually play if I would play there. That was cool, but it was just like Dubliner, you would play like 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. So you knew like I knew like if I was gonna do that show, I'd be in Washington Ave till at least 3, and I wouldn't be home until at least 4. It was just always one of those nights where it's like you would go home from work, take a nap because you knew that you're gonna just be just out the entire time.
yeah.
Okay, we can circle back to that. Let's go. All right, let's making people mad. Wait, no, that's there we go. Dogtown. All right, let's talk about St. Louis. pizza, something some people would put S tier, something that people would put in an F minus tier if it existed. Now, I want to be clear about something. Not all Emo's pizza is equal, and Emo's pizza isn't what we're talking about right now. We're talking about any kind of St. Louis pizza you get. So, this is not my favorite kind of pizza, but I love it. I mean, I do love it. So, I mean, I would put some pizza S tier, and I would put STL pizza A tier. What do you
Yeah,
think?
it's for me not to go S or A. I mean, I agree. Emos is kind of the introduction to St. Louis pizza from a lot of people that come in town. A lot of people don't like it just because it's so different. I personally think any combo of cheese, dough, or cracker crust, or any sort of sauce is going to be enjoyable. There are definitely other spots though. Some up in like Florissant, just depends where you go. Some other St. Louis spots that I would put far above emos and even into the S tier, but it's not my favorite type of pizza either. But at the end of the day, it's pizza's pizza to me, and I love it.
It goes in the A tier. And
Yep.
I think that is some
Mhm.
people from St. Louis are gonna tell you that it's just amazing and just it's like there's a chance you could come to St. Louis, go to the wrong emos, and have a bad experience. Like it's not cooked the right way, it's floppy, it's like it's just
Yeah.
not as good as it could be. But, it's definitely unique. It's the most unique style of a city pizza that you're gonna get. But you gotta try it if you come to St. Louis. It's just one of those things that you kinda gotta try. Cool, and
Yeah, I mean, that debate has made it all the way to like late night shows. Can't remember. Maybe it was Jimmy Kimmel and John Hamm have a long back and forth on St. Louis style pizza. But that's yeah, made it all the way to the late night shows about St. Louis style pizza.
it is controversial and, like, we're including Provolone cheese in this conversation. I guess we'll have to put Provolone cheese also in A if we're doing this, and yeah, provolone cheese is a makes a cheese or something. I don't know. Whatever. There's a science to it, or whatever it might be.
Creamy and tangy. I love it. Yeah, it's like Swiss cheddar. I could be wrong. Provolone.
Provolone.
It's like basically like cheese food, like a different kind of American or Velveeta type cheese.
Yeah. If you hate it, I won't knock you, but like, don't go to the city and be like, oh, all St. Louis pizza is bad because we got plenty of
Mm,
Italians in St. Louis. Like, what do you want? Like, we have immigrants, just like y'all got immigrants. It's just that y'all might have more of it. It's a very
St. Louis.
weird pride thing. Okay. Um, I'll let you cook on this one. This one's all you. St. Louis City Soccer Club, because I haven't been in America since we have it. So where do
So
you put it?
what I would say is, especially after losing the Rams and seeing how that kind of affected the city, it brought getting the expansion franchise in a very historic soccer city, which St. Louis is. We had that one team from the early 1900s who beat the English national team with 7 or 8 St. Louis people, and just the history of SLU and Lou Fuse and all the other soccer programs. There was already a deep love and passion for soccer in the city. So watching the stadium be built, driving by that stadium site every day, watching it go up and seeing the fans interested in going to a couple of games and just how loud it is, but how intimate and people just you see stickers on people's cars. A lot of people that really didn't care about soccer. Like I said, the Rams left a void in a lot of people that needed to be filled. So it's been kind of fun seeing people that weren't very familiar, with soccer, and they needed something to grab onto, and it's taken the city by storm. It's been a lot of fun watching just that whole area too outside of the stadium be built up and rejuvenated.
Rejuvenated, revigorated. I don't know. Whatever. They both work. I don't know what word you wanted.
I would just the vibe of the city. I'd start at A. I don't see why B. If we're talking about St. Louis right now, the current mood is I wouldn't say S because I think there's another couple sports teams that would take the S, but just the vibe I get right now is people are really loving it. So I think A's fair.
I keep putting I'm using D tier right now as like the discussion one. D stands for discussion at this point. Okay. All right. Um that's good. That's cool. A tier. I love to hear that. Okay. All right. Where would we put pork steak? So stupid. I really hope people enjoy this podcast because I'm going to enjoy this a lot. Pork.
Let's St. Louis with an S. I love they're cheap, inexpensive. You're like me, you can get like a pack of four of them, throw some barbecue sauce on them, slow cook them on the grill, and everybody's gonna gobble them up. You can't go to a barbecue in St. Louis without seeing pork steaks. I guess it's the cut of meat can be found in other cities. I don't know if they technically call it steaks in other places but people don't really buy that cut of meat. A lot of other places they'll typically do more of a chop and not grilled or barbecued, but like a chop prepared differently. So it is pretty unique. And yeah, I mean, if you talk about St. Louis, there's several S things you could say, and I say why not pork steaks in the S tier? It's
You're right. They're right. The price does put it as an S tier. Um,
mm,
and hey, I mean, I have fond memories of it. I don't eat pork anymore. But it's good. Like I will say pork is good even if I don't eat it. And as a kid in the summertime, oh, all of this because we didn't have that much money, so we ate pork steak all the time as a kid.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, 'cause it was like $2 a pound back then,
yep,
and it's good. Like, yeah, you can slow cook it, you can barbecue it. It just like I ate as a kid and it just feels like you're eating steak, something
hmm
expensive. So, okay, okay, yeah. I like it. I like it.
love it.
S tier. Okay. Where would we put okay, so Red Hot Riplets is either an S tier or an A tier, and I'm not gonna put anything different. There are these chips in Thailand that remind me of them, but nothing has the amount of flavor of a hot chip than a Red Hot Riplet. I think of
Yeah,
all hot chips, it's gotta be one of the best.
pretty
So
unique. You get like, the smallest tang of barbecue in there, but it's not like a barbecue chip. It's like a good medium between a barbecue and a hot. I'd say S, either S or A. I don't think it's. I can see why pizza would be in the A because it's controversial to some people. But if you're talking about red hot riplets and what locals talk about it, I don't see why it wouldn't be S.
if you come to St. Louis and you don't like St. Louis style pizza, I can be like, okay, all right,
Yeah,
it's not your thing. Just don't be disrespectful. If you don't like Red Hot Riplets, I can be like, oh well, you're like you just can't
Alabama,
handle it. So I guess I could put it in S tier. It's I mean, yeah,
you know,
it's iconic brand, and you're not gonna get it like anywhere else. So do it. Get it. Okay. All right. Let's we got 3 minutes before we got to reset. So let's do one more here. And uh the zoo is free. And yes, this is very true for me. It is other St. Louis people. The zoo is not free in other places, which if you're like me and you never traveled until like you're an older person, I went to, like, San Diego and, like, $50?
yeah,
$50 to go to the zoo? It's like I know it's world famous, but I'm not paying $50. Great for field trips, great for families. Again, it's a free thing to do, like a lot of other great free things to do in St. Louis, like the art museum, which I did not put on here, but or Forest Park as a separate category. I'll put the zoo at A tier. Do you have any
yeah. I mean, not only is it free, but I mean, it's up there when people talk about just the best overall zoos as well, as far as like exhibits and just being in an iconic area like the Forest Park. You can everything. There's a lot of stuff walking distance from there, but I mean, obviously, you got your heavy hitters like San Diego and like maybe Brooklyn, or I don't even know what else is bigger. Sure, there's a zoo in Chicago, but a lot of people do talk about St. Louis having great just collection of things to do, and yeah, everybody likes free.
All right. Okay. Let's just put these two together and see where we put them. Okay. So, I'm gonna put AB Anheuser-Busch in one on its own, of course, but then we're gonna put all other breweries and microbreweries together in another category. We're gonna try this. So, Anheuser-Busch, S tier, right?
Without that's the identity of a lot of it's a major worldwide corporation in the heart of a smaller city like this, so it can't be anything besides S tier. That's the no brainer.
Right. Like, for example, Anheuser-Busch has a brewery in Bangkok, but still, when I see Anheuser-Busch products, where I live in Thailand, it's still St. Louis to me. It's always St. Louis. So it's got to be S tier.
I
If
mean,
if we had an S plus tier, I think that would be like this would might be the highest one we do. Just
yeah,
um,
it's one of the brands that you can find almost anywhere in the world. Now, I'm not saying it's the most popular in some countries, like England or other, but it's gonna be there. You can find it with easily. It's so globally iconic.
yeah, and oh, and besides, well, I went to Prague. Yeah, Prague has a Budweiser or a Budweiser, but it's different. But I think you can still get Anheuser-Busch there. There might be a rule against that. Yeah, leave me a comment if you know. Okay, and then the other one was so this says Schlafly, but really just Schlafly's not really microbrew. Schlafly's Schlafly's like pretty huge now, but Schlafly or any brewery, big or small. I think I'm gonna put it also in an S tier. I think I'm putting all STL beer in the S tier because I I think the microbrewery scene is awesome in St. Louis. Like even if you're not that into it, come on, at the end of the day, it's beer and it tastes good and there's so many ones like, Modern, Civil Life, Four Hands. There's so many ones that I miss from back home.
Yeah, yeah, microbreweries aren't necessarily my scene, but I mean, I live less than a mile away from a bunch of them. I'm within a mile or two away from a lot of them, and a lot of those microbreweries have really good food to pair. And every once in a while, I'll drink just about anything, but every once in a while, something a little fancier. I like to switch it up. Sometimes get something real dark, or so. Yeah, I like that. I like that at S tier. Lots of options here.
Can't can't go wrong almost. It's like it is like pizza.
Mm.
Have you had a bad I'm sure you've had a bad beer in your life, but, like, it's pretty rare, I think. Alright. Okay. So we knocked out that big part. So yeah, I didn't put Forest Park or anything, but yeah, like, I put a picture of Lone Elk Park here. Let's do all the parks together. I think St. Louis, again, it's a free thing to do, and I think we have awesome parks in St. Louis despite not always having good weather. And also, like, it goes to the thing of like, there's just not that much to do. And I know for us growing up, that's what we did. Like, we just went to parks because we just needed a place to hang out. And usually in one day, we were at 3 or 4 different parks in a day. So, um, not the best in the world. I'm gonna go A tier. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, Forest Park is
Iconic.
really. I mean, I think it's the second biggest beyond Central New York, and lots of history at the fair. I live next to Tower Grove, which is also a really massive park, and they've done a lot of. There's a lot of stuff to do, even in Tower Grove. There's food truck days, and like there's a market. on the weekends where you can go get fresh produce and different things. And I mean, there's when the weather gets nice, there's just so many people walking around these parks. So I like it a lot. And even outside of like the city proper, like you said, we grew up kind of out in the county, and there was just something to do. You know, I agree.
Is it S? If I should have put Forest Park on here. That might have been separate as S tier, but let's roll ahead. Let's roll ahead for now. All right. We did some sports. Let's just talk about it. Yeah, let's make our S sports. We're sad. Like we're not looking forward to the season. Um, because this is just dumb. That's a whole different podcast we'd have to do. Let's talk about the Blues first. Okay, I was in Thailand in 2019, and the Blues are so important locally, and it's hard to, I think, even understand the impact if you've never like been to the city. I kind of want to pull that. I kind of want to be one of those people and say that. This might get kind of boring for rankings, but it's got to go S tier, and I even put it kind of like up here, like somewhere.
Mm.
Yeah.
Not obviously not an original six franchise, but they were part of that first wave of new teams after the original six. And I mean, immediately went to two, three Stanley Cups in a row. It was a little easier to get to a Stanley Cup, but the city fell in love with them. They've had a lot of really good years, but couldn't get over the hump. They haven't really ever been that awful for long stretches that I can ever remember. And so I think naturally people from St. Louis have always just had such an appreciation for the Blues. And yeah, 2019 was such an awesome time to be in the city. Just seeing everybody playing Gloria, kind of that fight song for them, and everybody talking about it everywhere you went. It was just, oh, how about the Blues? Oh, they almost gave me a heart attack the other night in the playoffs.
Who's a Country Roads guy? Oh, this is gonna be horrible.
John Denver.
Do you know John Denver never went to West Virginia before writing that song?
Yeah, I've heard something about the background of that song.
Yeah.
Uh,
I was amazed when I heard that. I was like, "Really?" I was like
yeah,
I was like, what happened when you finally went to West Virginia? Like, were people like, "Hey?" But yeah, and also like it's such like a local thing that they've had like a number of local people as well, like Plager family, and we got to see Bobby Plager, his jersey retirement. We got to watch that live. Got to see them score 5 goals in that game, which was just amazing, just an amazing thing. So it so much feels like a local thing because in the beginning it felt like they were just going out to Chesterfield and just picking up guys and being like, "Hey, can you play hockey? Come over here."
yeah, and I think another part of it is a lot of blues players when they come, even if it's for a couple of years, when they come play for the Blues, they fall in love with the community and they stay there, which you can't say for a lot of other sports or towns, but they stay there and then their kids get raised here. And it's really helped the youth hockey scene here. There's a ton of St. Louis kids that have been drafted, whether they're sons of pros or just being coached by some of the pros that have played for the Blues. So, yeah, hockey is such a community thing in St. Louis. Whether it's in it, a lot of it comes from the Blues and people that were in the organization and spread their knowledge through the youth level and high school ranks. So it's very big part of the community.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, shout out to the, Kachuk family. It was awesome seeing, them win, like seeing him win. Wait, Matthew?
Matthew and Brady, yeah.
But Matthew won.
Oh yeah, Matthew
Yeah,
won, and
Matthew won. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Seeing Matthew and Jason Tatum win in the same year, in like the same month, and see them be able to come back and bring those trophies home. And then yeah, seeing Brady both get into fights in that whatever it's called, All-Star game. That was hilarious. And oh, and by the way, if you approach Colton Parayko, you are a madman. Like if who gloves on Colton Parayko? I don't like that dude's like 6'6". That dude's huge. Okay, I gotta move on. Cardinals are S plus tier. It,
I
it, it
mean,
would probably be the only
not,
anything above Anheuser Busch. It's S plus tier. This season D tier probably. I'm gonna assume, but we could do me and you, Nolan. Could freestyle a podcast series about the Cardinals, I'm pretty sure. Like, no notes, just we could probably just talk about them for hours and hours. What
based
else is
on
there
that
to say? Yeah.
based on that game as old as time that guys do when they're at the bar, just hanging out. You just start naming. We've done this so many times in the past where we just start naming Cardinals players until we can't think of it, and we can go for hours.
I'm gonna sneak some on here, but I knew this podcast was gonna go way too long, and I wanna I don't want to rest too much by putting like a Craig Paquette or a like a Bo Hart or something on here.
And it's
So
funny that you said Cardinals and Bush because those two brands are so intertwined too. I mean,
yeah, yeah,
they go.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. You can't have one without the other, and that's just engraved in you from when you're a kid, and definitely, and like yeah, and I always go back to just the first time I ever went there and just how bright everything was. And I don't know if kids feel the same way now because you're watching like HDTV, but like at least the first time I went to Busch Stadium, that was my first reaction is that when I walked through that tunnel and thought like it's so green, like it's everything is just so much more vibrant.
Yeah,
It's a magical thing. So, speaking of which, I guess we would also put Busch Stadium, no matter which one we're talking about, in S tier, right?
I mean, we kind of alluded. I mean, baseball stadiums, just everything about baseball is romantic, and yeah, the stadium, it's just hard not to. It's baseball stadiums, Bush included. They're the most unique kind of stadium in all sports, just because they're all different and one can look so different than another, and it's not really cookie cutter dimensions. I mean, you get unique. There's yeah, yeah,
It's got to be
Bush
S
Stadium.
tier. And
Yeah,
and if we broke it down, I mean, the stadium we have now, we won a championship in it the first year it opened. You can't do better than that. And we've won two championships in it. The Bush Stadium before that is the one that we grew up with, and we have lots of memories. And it was more of a cookie cutter when it was built, but it does the arches around it. Lots of people hated it. Like people in my family hated it when it was torn down. I was very excited about it. And then like my dad grew up with Sportsman Park. So that is also very important. Like my dad lived through 5 World Series, which is just
mm,
crazy.
yeah.
Not gonna happen with us, man. It's not gonna, I don't think it's gonna happen with us, but we'll
They
see.
they really did a great job too with the Busch Stadium. I guess technically the second one that we grew up going to. Depending on if you want to call Sportsman Bush one
Yeah,
near the end of it. But they did a great job because a lot of those other cookie cutter parks in the same time frame just looked terrible. Like better like Philly and Pittsburgh and Cincinnati had all the similar parks, and they just kind of it was like AstroTurf till the final day, like stains. And they did a great job in the mid '90s, kind of making Bush Stadium feel really unique again,
mm,
like when they first opened it and there was grass. So
yeah,
yeah, I had fond memories of that. Obviously, first my first memories are Ozzy and McGuire, so we're spoiled.
yeah, yeah, and Willie, and
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 kind of ending that era.
yeah. All right, we did Bush Stadium. Let's zag a little bit. I want to do some big ones at the end. Let's talk about uh frozen custard. Okay, I'll go first. I'm more of the dessert guy. Fritz's is better than Ted Drew's. If that makes you mad, leave me a comment because I'm looking for some engagement. I don't care if it's whatever. It's ice cream, guys. Whatever. Frozen custard is a St. Louis thing. It's awesome. Ted Drew's is awesome, iconic. It really does feel like something that everyone does when they come to St. Louis, whether it's for like a weekend or a wedding or a few days, and you're coming in the summertime. So fond memories of Ted Drew's and then like Fritz's. Oh my God, every day in the summer as a kid. I don't my family didn't have that much money growing up, and I don't know how maybe Fritz's was cheaper back in the day. I'm pretty sure it's pretty expensive now. You know what? Screw it. B tier. We need more in the B tier. I can put it A tier. It's pretty
I think I
awesome.
would think you'd have to go A. It's I don't know. Ted Drew's almost gets the same love as Riplets, but
Yeah,
can't
that's true.
so much. But I mean, just driving past, I mean, as a child, Fritz's and the glowing lights and the once the summer starts hitting. Same with Ted Drew's when you're going down the when you're driving down Chippewa and you see the iconic, yellow glowing lights, and there's 50 to sometimes 100 people waiting in line. It shows you that people, when they come in from town, it's like, oh, there's one thing you got to do. You got to go to Ted Drew's. And I mean, you can't hardly watch TV without at least like a sporting event growing up, like a Cardinals game, without seeing the Ted Drew's commercial.
That's true. If I'm thinking about Ted Drew separately, that would be like A tier or even almost an S tier. So B was just more of my overall. I was trying to throw some things in B tier. It's looking real bad. These tiers aren't looking so even now. Um, but yeah, and like I think I'm pretty sure the season has gotten like longer and longer for these custard shops. But like as a kid, when Fritz's first opened, oh my God, it was awesome because one, you were a kid, you didn't have a job. But like when you saw Fritz's open, you knew we were getting in the summertime. And that was just the best, growing up. You knew it was like the weather was getting warmer, and in a couple months, school would be getting out, and you'd be here in the summertime eating ice cream.
You get your driver's license, you're in high school, school's out, you end up going to those great St. Louis parks. And then when it gets a little later, hit up Fritz's, and where the night goes on, but definitely.
Yeah. Every school event in like the springtime or any time where it was open, any school concert, like anything that involved families at a school event, you went to Fritz's afterwards. And then you grew up and then went to middle school and you went to Sonic Drive-In. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's at least how mine was.
even a lot of school events too. You would get like the Ted Drews, like you know, the yellow cartons that are in the freeze dry. A lot of like events
Mhm.
would be like, oh, the Ted Drews and the dry ice.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh, we skipped over this one. Okay, let's finish up STL Sports then. Okay, so I couldn't bombard us with all STL Sports, but let's talk Cubs Cardinals for a minute. Um, there's a number of St. Louis sports rivalries, and this one is the biggest by far. And in my mind, I like to think that it's the friendliest when everybody stay when everyone stays in line, when I'm not hearing that your team's a dynasty after not winning for 108 years, then I think things are pretty friendly. Have lots of love for Cubs fans, of course. When they won, I was of course happy for them because we've had that experience before, and you know that it's not guaranteed you're gonna have it again if you have it one time. And there's just other baseball teams that make me mad, whether it's the Brewers or the Dodgers or whatever it is. The Cubs don't make me mad. Um, and
The
and
lovable loser.
and it's just how could you know about baseball and not know about this rivalry? So go
Mm.
ahead.
I've never really had a bad experience with a Cubs fan. Every time I've been at Busch during the rivalry, or even when we've gone to Wrigley for the games, there might be some friendly smack talk. So, oh, how's this guy doing this year? Oh, this and that. But it doesn't get to the point of like Boston, New York, where people are like fighting each other. I mean, if anything, you see Cubs fans fight each other, or White Sox and Cubs fans fight each other in the bleachers. But yeah, it's always my experience been super cordial.
Yeah.
A little razzing here and there, but
Extremely cordial, just 2016 was wild. And 2016 was, like, also, depending on who you support, one of the best sports years. It just an amazing sports year. I get, like, if you're, like, a Warriors fan or, like, if your team lost that year, then it might not be that great, but anyway, um, but it's just wild to think about. Like, I remember in 2016, Cubs fans being like, "The Cardinals need a star like Chris Bryant," and I'm like, "Alright, guys, like, can we just pump the brakes for a little bit, you know? Can we just, like, get one championship?" That and
but
that was the only time.
two incredible stadiums too. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a bucket list item for me. I try to do it as much as I can, but just getting down to Wrigley, I mean, a lo is but we talked about how awesome Busch Stadium is. I mean, Wrigley is so iconic, just cool neighborhood, and yeah, if we could get there for, like, a Cards Cubs weekend, if you're lucky, you can hit Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all day games, and I mean, day games, it doesn't get more iconic than day games in the bleachers at Wrigley. It's the Cardinals, Cubs, the crowd's purple. It's a great mix of the two main colors.
Yeah. And hey, we got to go first time in that championship year, and they can never take that away from us. We got to see the Cubs championship year, forever young.
Yeah.
I wanna be. Yeah,
Yeah.
Cubs fans, y'all remember that one?
That
Y'all
was the
remember that
last
one? We what?
that was the last regular season game, right? Before
Yeah,
the playoffs.
yeah. Regular season game. Called Chance the Rapper, his festival at Soldier Field or whatever the hell it's called. The
Oh,
day before.
right where the White Sox, whatever they call it now.
Yeah, whatever they call it. We got to see Kanye a month before Kim was robbed. So like a month before he just went crazy. Got to see him like smiling and all of that. Like it was amazing. But we move on. Speaking of places that I don't know what they're called, where would you put? I'm gonna call it Riverport. So Riverport, UMB Bank Pavilion, and then I don't, and then there's like four other names, but
Hollywood
people,
Amphitheater now, Hollywood Casino Amphitheater.
that's what it is now. Okay, I think it was Hollywood Casino before I left.
Yeah,
But I know for a fact people call it Riverport still.
a lot of people do. Yeah, I slip and call it Riverport too. I just say the amphitheater, but you know what? I would say B because I don't know. There's nothing super iconic to it besides the memories you have growing up and the people you went to shows with. But if you want to talk about venues in St. Louis, you could start if you're old enough with like places like Mississippi Nights and more intimate venues.
Mhm.
And plus also the fact that it's way out in Maryland Heights. But I mean, when it comes to an amphitheater, it's just like any other amphitheater, really. So it just depends on who you went to shows with growing up, and but I think B's fair. I don't necessarily think of it the first thing I think of when I think of St. Louis because it's not really even in St. Louis.
Yeah, I wonder how people feel like when they perform there, but they've never been to St. Louis or maybe heard of St. Louis, and then, like, they probably, like, go do, like, St. Louis things, but then they drive all the way over in the Maryland Heights, and you're like,
Yeah,
"Oh, we're not even performing in St. Louis. We're actually performing,
in the
like,
middle of
somewhere
yeah.
somewhere like."
I feel because I've been to a lot of cities that have like their amphitheaters kind of within the city area. Like they might have it, a little closer to the main city area, but yeah, Maryland Heights is a little bit of a drive, and a lot of these bands probably come to town and be like, "Where?" am I?"
Yeah, it's usually more the people that you're with. Like, most memories are like summer shows, seeing like Incubus or 311 or Dave Matthews Band. Like, that would be there like every year. It's always a good time. But I thought of it. Um, I'm sure there's some like a top 10 show in there. that I've seen, like a top 10 show that I've seen personally. Okay, I I'll put Vest Soda in the B tier. I'm like kind of a soda guy. It definitely it pairs well with some good food. Vest Soda with certain St. Louis food goes really well. And my memories of it is that it used to be a quarter. Like as a kid, it used to be like a quarter at the Walmart in the machine, and you could get like an ice cold Vest grape soda, and that was pretty good back then. So I think it's more the memories. Anything on this
Yeah,
one?
it's definitely St. Louis. I'm not a big soda guy, so I don't really have any feeling. I don't want to put it low because a lot of people, they have so many different flavors too. And yeah, there's a certain food I see on the list that a lot of people pair with Vest. So
Yeah.
it's St. Louis. So I think B's good.
One of the best ones to pair with that soda is St. Louis has great Chinese food. And if you're from St. Louis or if you don't know, the St. Paul sandwich, who I think the person who made it is from St. Paul, Minnesota, but he lived in St. Louis and he invented it in St. Louis. But the St. Paul sandwich is a patty made with mung bean. It's pretty good. Like it's not something that I would usually get. Um, but St. Louis Chinese food is pretty awesome. It's so bad for you. But if you want bang for your buck,
Yeah, especially the worst, the most, the dangerous the neighborhood. It seems like you're like, oh, I gotta slip in here, but yeah, it's you get some of the darkest fried rice and some of the and plus the St. Paul sandwich is just egg for young. You're right on a slice of white bread. It's nothing special, but it tastes good.
it's pretty good. Yeah, it was never like my usual go-to, but yeah, like man, in college, China One, $5. You could eat it lunch, dinner, lunch the next day
Mm.
because they would give you just so much chicken and so much fried rice that like you could eat it for like 3 meals.
I could eat
St. Louis Chinese food, I think
beef.
B sounds this is like the ultimate B tier.
A lot of locals talk about it, but I wouldn't say it's S or A.
Yeah, B
It's
is good. Like B tier, if you have a B tier lunch, that's a solid lunch. That is a
yep,
solid lunch right there. So, okay,
St. Louis pizza.
let's do one which I know is going to be ranked high. I put a picture of Gloria's, but we're going to do all delis now. St. Louis has fantastic delis. So this is
No,
easily S tier or A tier. You have more to say about this one. What do you
I'm
think?
going S, especially the last. I'd say probably even ever since you moved away. There have been delis popping up everywhere, and there have been some brand new ones that have just gotten big fast. And there's a lot of people that are proud of, proud of the delis that they open. That they're not skimpy on meats or anything like that. And they take a lot of these restaurants in St. Louis in general are really proud of their weekly or monthly something of the week, sandwich of the week, and they really put a lot of effort into it. And yeah, there's great spots out here.
Just great spots. I mean, I used to love it as it's just growing up and then in college, like moving closer to the city, moving like really close to like mom's deli and just oh, there's so many good spots. And you're right. Since I moved out, there's just so many more. Because you can't go wrong, and it's hard to have too many good delis.
Yeah,
Um, T-Ravs, go ahead. I don't eat T-Ravs anymore, so what are we doing for toasted ravioli?
it's S. I
Toasted
mean,
ravioli is S tier.
it's as St. Louis as it gets. There's a invented here, you know. It's deep fried little meat pockets, and I mean, yeah, it's people don't shut up about T-Ravs here. They have like T-Rav the themed nights at games and T-Rav that. Everybody has their own take. A lot of places just do the frozen version, but a lot of places do make their homemade ones. It's St. Louis.
Yeah, get with the program, other cities. I mean, it's meat, it's like pastry bread, it's sauce, and you put it all together. What's wrong with it? And then you put more cheese on it after you cook it.
Yep.
So all right. We're not gonna get this in 2 sessions. We have to do another one. So let's do a couple more here. What did I put here? Oh, um, that's Uncle Bill's. So we did delis, but let's do diners and the slinger. We have to just include that somehow. Um, I've I've had a slinger. I was never a chili guy when I ate meat. So the where would you put the diners in St. Louis and the slinger?
I mean, the kind of I imagine diners. I haven't been to a whole lot of actual like diners in other cities. I've been to like breakfast places, like eclectic breakfast places, but at the end of the day, a greasy, grimy diner is kind of a greasy, grimy diner no matter where you're at. But the Slinger is very St. Louis specific, and I next to a really close to a place um that was that specialized in slingers, and I love chili. When you just throw chili and just like sausage or hamburger patty and onions and hash browns and all that slop together, it makes for a great meal after a long night of drinking, or even if you're finishing up a night of drinking.
If where if delis are S tier, diners and slingers are A or B. What do you think?
I think B's fair.
B is
I don't
fair.
know. Yeah, the slinger is definitely St. Louis specific, but I think most places you go, a diner, depending on what substances you have in your body,
Yeah.
a good greasy meal and a
A good
dingy place
side.
to play.
Yeah, food. It is a solid meal, whether it's the morning or whether it's 2 a.m. So,
Yeah,
all right, we'll go just a little bit quicker now. We got 9 more. I had to look this one up because I totally forgot what this thumbnail was. Um, I'm gonna put Six Flags in the B tier because I have no feeling about it, and you can move it up or down if you want. I have not been to Six Flags since I was like in high school, and I was never a roller coaster person. But it is important, so I put it on here.
I wouldn't even mind throwing the seats here. To be honest, it's not really that unique of a theme park. They're everywhere. Then they have them in Chicago, and they'll share a lot of other cities, and it's way out in Eureka as well, which is starting to get into a stretch of calling St. Louis. I mean, it's not super far, but I don't know. I like roller coasters. I liked them as a kid, but you spend a couple hours at Six Flags, you can get bored pretty easily,
Yeah,
especially the older you get, unless you have kids or whatever. But I'm okay with C if you want to put something else in there.
yeah, it might be. I don't know if it has something to do with it's always on TV and stuff when like it's getting to be summertime, and it definitely seems like something that is important to St. Louis. But I forgot my last point. We're moving on. We're moving
Yeah,
ahead.
it's just not unique to St. Louis.
Oh,
There's Six
well,
Flags.
yeah. Well, I guess I'll say like, yeah, I'm not a roller coaster person, but I've been to lots of theme parks, and they're pretty much the same or better.
Yeah.
Like whether it's like botanical gardens or Universal Studios or like whatever it might be. I think, yeah, I think it's B C tier. Um, I put the Loop Charlie here just to be funny, but we're not talking about Loop. Loop Charlie is F tier. The Loop I'm gonna put B tier. And I'm gonna be just a little bit selfish here. I don't know if Delmar is like really that relevant anymore, but man, I love Delmar Loop. I mean, it's even crazy that there was one point as a kid where my mom worked in the Delmar Loop next to Vintage Vinyl at a bagel store. Um, but I think it's very culturally important, and even though it might not be as popular, and I'm sure there's other places in St. Louis that have taken over for younger people, it feels like a solid B tier place. lots of culture, lots tons of music, Chuck Berry, Duck Room. I played a lot of shows there myself. The pageant is there where I saw the greatest concert I ever saw. So, yeah, what do you think?
It's still relevant. Every time I drive through, there's lots of foot traffic. Kind of tying it in with the same vibes as Tulard. A lot of people come to St. Louis and they wonder why downtown is, there's not a lot going on unless there's a Cardinal game. Shout out Cardinals. Like there'll be a lot of foot traffic of Blues, Cardinals downtown. But other than that, I've seen a lot of people come to St. Louis and be like, there's nobody downtown. What's going on? Like, where's all the people? And I'm like, well, St. Louis has its problems, but there's other neighborhoods like Tower Grove, Soulard, and then obviously the Loop. And a lot of tourists will be like, okay, yeah, let's go check those out. And so I think the Loop is still, it's still, a great place to go on the weekend. You'll see lots of people um, hanging out still. So I like that.
Yeah, I used to go there in high school. When I first started driving, I used to drive down there, and it's pretty crazy how walkable it really is. If you like travel to St. Louis, you want like a walkable place, just don't cross that line.
Don't,
Just don't go
don't go
on the
north.
other side of Del Mar, and
Don't go
then
north.
and then you're good. Because I used to play shows over on that side too, and man, it's just not not so good.
Deteriorates quickly.
All right, look, all right, let's do a fun one. Let's rank the way St. Louis people say French names. You can't see it, but this man is trying to pronounce we say Gravois. I'm pretty sure it's what Gravois. I'm gonna be fancy with it. I don't know. How do
Probably.
you say Creve Coeur? How do you say how I mean people from St. Louis say Des Perez. That's definitely not correct.
Yeah, I've always heard the farty far thing growing up, but I don't think I ever remember hearing people say anything other than 44. But that's what I grew up hearing people be like, oh, St. Louis is called farty far.
My mom. Yeah, yeah. It was definitely my mom would say it, and then I'm sure like her dad, but like my grandma on that side would say it even more. Um, I don't know where it comes from, but yeah, I it's definitely something that older certain St. Louis people would say. But yeah, people from in St. Louis County, we have lots of French names that are super. I mean, in college, my parents lived on Rue de la Chelle, and I'm not
Mm.
saying that correctly, but you see what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean you got Shoto, which might be right. I mean, I don't know. All sorts of French.
I'm putting it into.
De Bolivar. I don't know how you pronounce that
I
over
have
there.
no idea that
And I'm always Oliver, but it could be De Bolivar.
probably that's better. You just gotta put if you, in St. Louis, you just put a little thing on it. Wow. Okay, that sounds good.
But don't you dare call it Gravois. That's you'll hear it.
Yeah. Hey, it's Gravois, but it's not. All right. That's D tier because I need to fill out this tier list somehow. I I would put I would say gooey butter cake is a solid B tier dessert. It's not as good as cheesecake. It's really good, but like, how can you go like, okay, yeah, you just take a bunch of butter and a bunch of sugar. You're gonna get something good out of it, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's
yeah.
really
I'm not the
good.
biggest sweet tooth, and I love gooey butter cake. I mean, I don't reach for it all the time, but I love it. And it's so simple, just butter and sugar. But I mean, butter's the ground. Butter's the centerpiece for almost everything delicious. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's really good. But if I was gonna do a tier list of desserts, it's going below things like cheesecake or perhaps even things like lemon bars, which in my family, that's what it was. It was like gooey butter cake, lemon bars. I mean, yeah, I'm not fat, luckily. It's that. I think the St. Louis Science Center is B tier. Is it free? The Science Center free? I don't think so.
I think last time I remember, there is free admission, but then there are things that you have to pay to do, such as like the Omnimax and other things. I don't know if they I haven't been there in a while. They could have changed it because everything's changing as far as a lot of things changed. But last time I remembered, I think it was free admission just to walk around, and there's premium activities. I think.
Premium
But
activities. This sounds like some yeah, some extracurriculars. But anyways, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's free. I mean, last time I went was a Star Wars night, and it
just
was free. Yeah, I went with like a girl I was dating at the time, and it was so much fun. It was
yeah,
super fun. Like we got on the elevator with they have like those stormtroopers that are like legit. Like they have
yeah.
like legit gear with the voice changers. So I'm pretty sure field trips, Max movies,
You and I saw the Force Awakens at the OmniMax.
we did. We,
Crazy experience. Oh,
yeah,
look, the biggest screen I've ever seen a movie on.
yeah, yeah, we were just playing, like, tennis with, like, Kylo Ren um, and back then, we were probably like, "Yeah, Star Wars is back. Yeah,
Yeah.
this episode 7, yeah, it's gonna be better after this one."
Yeah. I mean, it was the only one of the new ones I liked. It went way downhill, but that was very interesting watching like dialogue, just being like, man, my neck. Omnimax is cool though. Lots of educational videos too, under the sea, up in space. Like I've seen a lot of cool like educational videos like ancient Rome. It's sure most places have an Omnimax, but
Yeah.
it's great.
I was in and this will be quick because 'cause we're gonna get through this. I was in middle school, and we went to one where there's at the end, like, you had the universe, and then it would zoom all the way into, like, a quark, the smallest, like, little piece of atom, and, like, I have vertigo, but I never knew I had vertigo until a few years ago. I always thought that I had, like, fear of heights or something, like, weird. And I was sitting next to you remember Greg Harmon? I was sitting next to Tom Winterrose, and then his mom was next to me, and she was like, "We can go if you want, like, we can leave if you want." 'Cause I thought I was gonna puke, um,
Mm.
because, like yeah, it is, like, that immersive, but just just a funny thought, haven't thought about those people in a while. Um, the ice cream cone is from St. Louis. I don't know, B tier?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those like forest. It's like one of those World's Fair things, like the waffle cone, but I
Yeah.
don't know.
I
You
want
could get you could get a good waffle cone anywhere now.
yeah.
It's
I
part of St. Louis lore more so.
I wanted to include at least one historic thing and okay, like, you can get
It is a fantastic vessel for ice cream, though. I'll tell you that.
it is pretty cool and it would be popular now, like, all with all the wokies and, like, you can't have the plastic straws and everything. I was trying something there. Bread company
You
is
put that in beef for all I care.
you put in
It's gone down. It's gotten bad, and the fact that they're just changing all the St. Louis, a lot of them, or they're starting to switch it to Panera. Who even knows if the original owners? St. Louis Bread Company used to be a place I really liked as a kid. Like the bagels, the sandwiches, whatever, this and that. Getting a coffee when I was in high school, but there's nothing really that special. If I want a sandwich, I'm going somewhere else. I can find a better bagel somewhere else. I
absolutely right.
feel
You're absolutely right, just let it go. You gotta
it's
let it go.
nostalgic for sure, but not
Yeah.
legendary, really.
Yeah, you just
They
gotta
haven't
let
ever.
yeah. You just gotta let it go. Exactly, because this for me, it's the Winchester St. Louis Bread Company every morning before school. There was a period of time where both my parents were working, and we were at the Winchester Bread Company every
Mhm.
day. It used to be cheap as well. It used to be, like, not expensive. You could get a bagel and a coffee for, like, $2, and you could get a
Oh yeah,
big coffee
yeah.
for, like, $1.
I had one in walking distance from my high school, and I'd probably go there every morning, almost every morning, get like a one of those ice cream type coffees, whatever you call those, coffee and a couple bagels, and for ice, I didn't have any money, but I was able to go there almost every day. I don't know if I could do that anymore, but I think it's got way too corporate. I think when we were really young, Breadco didn't have as big of a reach, but it slowly. I kind of remember like Panera, hearing about Panera in other cities, and then I think just with a lot of other places, you get so big, a lot of times the quality of your product goes down, and I think that's kind of the case with that place.
Yeah, good. Yeah, good for them. I mean, we would do the same thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. All right, we got two more. I'm gonna move us down because I know what's gonna happen. Um, the hill is S tier. If you're not from St. Louis, you got to go to the hill. And again, I will not take any slander of St. Louis not having good Italian food because how would that make sense? Because we have Italian people that live here and are more authentic than the people coming saying that we don't have good Italian food. So, um, yeah, just super important, so historic. Harry Houdini performed in The Hill. Just for context, the Marx Brothers performed in The Hill. Yeah, just like it has such a big history to it.
Yogi Berra. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, I recently watched a documentary, and it's called the one of the last true Little Italies in St. Louis, because a lot of Little Italies, even in like New York or places, a lot of them have been torn down. Like, and it's one of the true Italian neighborhoods that kind of was left alone. Minus they've kind of built a highway through the edge of it, but when you drive through the hill, you feel like you're in a complete different place. Um, it's a really cool neighborhood. I would love to be able to get a house there. I'm sure that's one of the most impossible things. I'm sure those houses are just pretty much passed down at this point from family members, and yeah, it's a lot of Italian heritage, a lot of Italian pride. The fire hydrants have the Italian flag. Pretty much, there's an Italian flag every couple of houses. It's one of the most proud neighborhoods for sure. It's you can't even the worst restaurant is amazing out there.
yeah. It's been probably the most consistent neighborhood, or one of them for forever, like over 100 years of people traveling there, moving there, performing there. Um, Easily one of the best neighborhoods, uh, communities in St.
Uh,
Louis.
and
Easily.
all the locals know all the other locals. I mean, you see people walk into restaurants or bars down there. It's like, hey, Vinny, how you doing? Hey, how are the kids doing? I'll see you at church. It's tight knit community.
Guy in the hill named Vinny.
Yeah, who
Okay.
would have thunk it?
Okay. All right. So the last one's the Arch. I don't know. I mean, I throw the Arch in S tier just because it's whatever gateway to the West and everything. I can't go up in it. I mean, I can go up in like most buildings, but the Arch freaks. I can't even be next to it. It freaks me out so much. Um, like I went to like years ago. Went to a Lupe Fiasco concert when they still do those like free at the on the river concerts. I guess
Yeah,
they probably still do those.
4th of July or something. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, this is like 4th of July 2010, and it's like the last time I was ever next to the arch because like if I look up at it, I will get dizzy. So that's just me personally. It guess okay. Well, I'll just put it S tier. And what do you got to
It's
say?
it's S tier because it's the identity of our city when you look at our skyline. If we didn't have the arch, I think a lot of people wouldn't be able to would have no idea what city they were looking at, even with the river next to it. Um, it's one of those things where, when you move here or if you're young, you probably go up there a couple times, and then there's no real reason to do it after that. It's ridiculously overpriced to go up. It's not that tall in the grand scheme of like when I was a kid, I thought it was the tallest building ever, but I was real young, but it's yeah, it's definitely it's the identity of the city. It's on so many logos, whether it's breweries or restaurants or this or that, or even incorporated into some sports logos. It's really is the identity kind of our city. It's symbol then like the fleur de lis, it's kind of what you think of when you think of St. Louis. So I think it deserves to be an S.
Yeah, and if you see like any movies, like there's a lot of times they'll do it in, another city. Like the movie Identity Thief was there's a scene that's supposed to be in St. Louis, but it's in Chattanooga, Tennessee. They just
Mm.
CGI the arch in it. But if you watch them drive in, you're like, that bridge isn't even on the right side that it
Yeah.
should be on. Like it's on like the right side when you're driving in. So yeah,
Hey,
like if you want to,
shout out to your little vacation movie.
yeah. So if you want to put St. Louis in your movie, just CGI the arch in there and make it some kind of like random Midwest town. Like it's like it'll be all the same. The even even people like us maybe. All right. We're leaving it there. Harrison Talks Pod. Thank you so much. Thank you, Nolan. I'll have you back on again to talk about St. Louis sports woes or something something positive. Maybe we'll talk about music or something. But anyways, I hope everyone has a great week. I'll be back next week for some more basketball talk and I will see you next time.